Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for an exclusive webinar on leveraging Next-Gen SIEM for real-time threat detection and response. I am Mansi Singh, Senior Correspondent at Express Computer, and I'm thrilled to have you join us today. This webinar is brought to you by Express Computer in association with CrowdStrike. In today's rapidly evolving cyber threat landscape, traditional security information and event management solutions often struggle to keep up. That's why we are here to explore how next-gen SIEM, powered by real-time analytics, machine learning, and automation, is revolutionizing threat detection and response. With these cutting-edge capabilities, organizations can gain superior visibility into security events, enable proactive threat hunting, and dramatically reduce response time, all while seamlessly scaling their security operations as they grow. Today, we will delve into the transformative impact of these cutting edge solutions and learn how they can empower you to stay ahead of the curve in the fight against cyber threats. Once again, thank you for being here. Let's dive in and explore the future of threat detection and response together. It's my honor to introduce our speaker for today's session, Lokesh Shetty, Regional Sales Engineer and Next Gen SIM Specialist at CrowdStrike. And before he takes over, let me quickly walk you through the house rules to ensure a smooth and interactive experience. This is an audio and a video webinar broadcast live and will also be available on demand on our website. We will have poll questions during the sessions. Please participate actively and share your thoughts to win some exciting goodies. There will be a dedicated Q&A segment at the end of the webinar. However, you are welcome to submit your questions anytime using the Q&A text box. If you experience any technical issues, kindly refresh your browser or reach out to our team using the Q&A text box. For any questions that remain unanswered during the live session, we'll follow up via email to address the same. So here is what you can look forward to gaining from today's session. You can learn to stay ahead with AI-driven threat automation. You can also discover how to reduce manual effort with smart automation. You can learn the best practices for deploying next-gen SIM across environments and also explore some real-world examples. So please stay till the end and walk away with more than just expert insights. Some exciting prizes await. Throughout today's webinar, we'll be hosting interactive poll questions, and active participants will have the chance to win some exclusive goodies. Winners will be notified via email after the event, so do not miss this opportunity. Stay engaged and share your insights. And before we hand over it to Lokesh, let's kick things off with an interactive poll to understand your current challenges. Remember, participating increases your chances of winning these exciting prizes. So let's see our first poll on our screens. What is your biggest challenge with traditional SIM solutions? Limited real-time threat detection, high false positive rates, complex integration with existing tools, or scalability and performance issues? Kindly go and please share your experience and responses with us. Can we have a quick look at our results? So 22% of people have voted for real-time threat detection. 33% have voted for high false positive rates. 35% says that complex integration with existing tools. And 11% have voted for scalability and performance issues. Thank you all for participating. Remember, each response boosts your chances of winning exciting goodies. So please stay tuned. We have more polls on the way. So please keep engaging with us. Now it's time for me to introduce our esteemed speaker for today, Lokesh Shetty, Regional Sales Engineer and Next-Gen SIM Specialist at CrowdStrike. Lokesh leads the expansion of CrowdStrike's next-gen SIM capabilities across India. With over 17 years of experience in cybersecurity, he collaborates closely with customers and industry leaders to tackle complex challenges and drive digital transformation. Lokesh is passionate about leveraging cutting-edge security technologies to help organizations achieve their security objectives while ensuring compliance. His extensive expertise in technical pre-sales, cloud SaaS, and threat detection have been pivotal in demonstrating the transformative impact of CrowdStrike's Falcon platform and next-gen SIM solutions across various industries and global markets. His dedication to innovation, insightful industry perspectives, and building value-driven partnerships truly distinguish him as a leader in the cybersecurity landscape. So now, without further delay, please join me in welcoming Lokesh Shetty. Lokesh, the floor is yours. Let's dive into the future of threat detection and response with Next-Gen SIM.
Thank you.
Over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. That was quite an introduction. Thank you very much for setting the house rules and introducing all of our participants. I can see the count going up every few seconds. Thank you very much for setting the house rules and introducing everyone to what this webinar entails and contain. So before we start talking about CrowdStrike Falcon Next-Gen SIM today, in today's session, which will be followed by a quick pop-up of the demo, I need to warm you guys up again with a pop-up quiz. So with this, I would request the panelists to bring up the poll question for all of our audience. How long does it? It's a discovery question for all of the audiences here. There will be quiz questions which has a particular specific answer covered in the slide. But let me give you around 30 to 40 seconds to answer this. How long does it typically take your team, your security SOC team, to detect and respond to a security incident using your tools or your current SIM solution? There are 4 different options here. In case you're not actively using a SIM solution, quite unlikely, but not actively using a SIM or a security solution, you can currently select somewhere around more than 24 hours. But this is more to understand what's the turnaround time or what's the detection and response time which each one of you or your team experiences today. How long does it typically take your team, security SOC team, to detect and respond to a security incident using your current SIM solution? All right, okay. I think that amount of time would be good enough. We can see the results. All right, less than 1 hour, amazing. That's a great response. Majority of the participants have mentioned or selected less than 1 hour. 1 to 6 hours, 49%, still within the certain compliance requirement of notifying the certain authority. 6 to 24, 9%, and more than 24 hours, 7%. But I can still see less than 1 hour top of the list, 1 to 6 hours also top of the list. So that's a good response. Thank you very much for sharing that. So let's come back and talk about the SIM, next-gen SIM, or the SIM market in specific. I guess if I'm not wrong, 2005 or 6 was the time when SIM as a term was coined and introduced by Gartner consultants. But today, in 2025, the SIM market, the entire market, is currently at a crossroads, with legacy SIM solutions struggling to keep up with cloud SIM solutions or SaaS SIM solutions already helping out customers a lot. What CrowdStrike Falcon Next-Gen SIM offers is amazing amount of performance as a cloud SaaS solution, the intelligence that CrowdStrike is known for, along with that, an artificial intelligence or AI-driven insights, which everybody needs to outpace the threat actors or the adversaries in order to stop breaches. How do we do this? Let's dive in to see how typically this can be addressed. Now, as most of you here today would probably be aware that CrowdStrike's mission is to stop breaches. So what we have done is we have built the Next-Gen SIM as part of the Falcon platform itself to align to that mission. We know that stopping breaches and responding to attacks is getting harder for the security team. By that, I mean the breakout time for an attack, they're getting faster. Like one of the questions that you just answered, what we have seen, the fastest is just about 2 minutes and 7 seconds to be precise. That's the breakout time which we have recorded for e-crime, for adversaries, for malwares being detected in an organization. That should be response time for an organization, because this is the amount of time that adversaries require to get into your network or environment. What we've also seen is adversaries are taking advantage, the threat actors are taking advantage of multiple or sprawling attack surface. They have more ways to enter the door to get into your environment. They have more tools in their tool belt. And this has led to the rise of cross-domain attacks. As you can see on the slide, 75% increase in cloud intrusions last year was detected, and it's been mentioned in the threat report by CrowdStrike. Also, attackers are still after endpoint, but that's not the only, I would say, entry point for most of the attackers. They're continuously evolving and looking beyond endpoints. They're leveraging identity-based attacks. In fact, 5 out of 10 MITRE attack tactics, which have been observed in real-world environments by our threat hunters mentioned in our report, are now identity-based. So endpoint is not the only entry point. They're looking at identity and many other threat vectors to enter your environment. Now, from what we see on this slide, the dynamics in the security team or the SOC team, like it becomes more complex. So we have to be faster in responding. We have to be more sophisticated because we are answering and looking at sophisticated attacks. At any given point of time, I can see Q&A coming in. So if you have any questions, feel free to go to the Q&A tab and ask your questions there. I'll be happy to answer the questions myself. I have my colleague Amol Amberkar, who is a practice lead for identity and cloud security. He will be helping me answer this question. So feel free to mention your questions in the Q&A tab, and feel free to participate using the chat box for any questions or any discussions that you would like to have. So continuing with the conversation, since I was talking about how fast adversaries have become, to understand how these adversaries operate, let's take a look at an example of one particular attack sequence, which was observed by CrowdStrike, our own Overwatch threat hunting team, Falcon Overwatch, which is CrowdStrike's threat hunting team. Let's look at that example. So what we have done in this example is we flooded a user with spam emails, and Curly Spider, the adversary, impersonated an IT help desk, which tried to trick the user into joining a remote session via an RMM tool like Quick Assist. Once we got the remote access, the attacker, which we were trying to replicate, the attacker validated the connectivity to the cloud-hosted malicious scripts. They deployed the payload via curl or PowerShell commands and modified the registry keys. Why? To maintain access to that particular endpoint or environment. Now, what the attacker did after this is we created a backdoor. We created a backdoor user, in fact, which executed the final payload under a legitimate binary, under a legitimate credentials and binary to evade detection by any EDR agent. So in this particular scenario, Curly Spider, after executing this attack and creating the registry keys and running the final payload, it erased and deleted and removed forensic evidence to avoid any detection by traditional SIEM solutions or a combination of EDR solutions along with SIEM. So what you can see in this example is how the adversary Curly Spider secured a long-term access even before the victim or the organization realizes that they have been attacked. So in this case, CrowdStrike stopped Curly Spider because we have our endpoint agent, endpoint EDR agent deployed as well along with Next-Gen SIEM. But this adversary, if any other EDR would have been there, they would have stopped Curly Spider maybe. But this particular adversary, it often works with one more threat actor or one more adversary called Wandering Spider. Now, this entire group, Wandering Spider, by the way, for information everyone, is behind the Black Basta attack. So they conduct follow-on attacks. They enter your environment, they run some payloads, they connect to a cloud environment, they take the data out, but they remain there. They create the registry keys to remain back in your environment so that in future, they can execute an attack like ransomware, right, to lock a majority of your devices. This example, this attack of Curly Spider working with Wandering Spider, this unfolded in a matter of under 4 minutes. So this is why speed is the key to everything. Speed when it comes to the SOC team, the security team, in stopping threats after identifying them. It requires not just a single EDR agent or a SIEM solution or a threat intel, but a unified platform with industry-leading prevention, detection, and response. So that example was to give an idea of what customers experience in the real world. But when we talk to customers about traditional SIEM solutions that they're using, we would like your perspective as well. So please feel free to participate using the chat box of what your experiences with traditional SIEM solutions are. But when we talk to customers, 99% of the time, they say that their SIEM is letting down when it comes to investigation and response. And if I remember the answer to the first poll quiz right, other than scalability and performance, high false positives was one of the answers that I saw. Majority of you had mentioned and had selected. And complex environment was another top answer in terms of integrating the data sources or getting the data sources added. which in turn affects the investigation and response by your team. So these things, they actually make the life of a SOC analyst much harder, because stitching together different attack surface, data from different source, managing multiple threat feeds, as a SOC analyst, I would not be confident in the alert that I'm getting, which is the high false positive rate. These are the things and problems that we have even heard from our customers. So the customers were asking us for a better way. There has to be a better way, maybe a unified platform approach, or maybe a next-gen SIEM solution to tackle these problems of alert fatigue, false positives, complex environments, and much more. That's where CrowdStrike came up with the idea and the module of Falcon Next-Gen SIEM. What Falcon Next-Gen SIEM is, it's a purpose-built solution to drive speed, to drive efficiency that the SOC and security team will need to address complex threats and to respond to them faster. Now, Next-Gen SIEM is not a standalone product or a standalone module. It's built upon the Falcon platform. It's an extension of the entire CrowdStrike Falcon platform that already is available with a lot of customers, with our motto, with our ethos of stopping breaches faster. Now, what we are doing is we are extending this success of the platform, this success of the methodology, which is now going beyond the endpoint. So where most of the traditional SIEM solutions, they only receive data, Falcon Next-Gen SIEM module, since it is built on top of the world-class detection, prevention for endpoint, for cloud, for identity, because endpoint cloud identity is already part of the Falcon platform. Next-Gen SIEM is built on top of this. So it is automatically informed of all of these data from CrowdStrike from day zero, from day one. An organization's endpoint data, cloud data, identity data is already fed to the Next-Gen SIEM module without any additional ingestion from your end. And add to that the world-class threat intelligence that CrowdStrike is known to provide. This wider platform technology alone allows the Falcon Complete team, the Falcon Complete team is CrowdStrike's own MDR team, to provide a warranty-based service, stating that we guarantee that we will stop the breach, and that's a warranty that and guarantee that our team provides. So it's really the core of CrowdStrike's philosophy as an organization that we are extending to the SIEM solution. But let's look at it in a different way. And before that, for everybody's attention, I would like to request the panelists to bring up another poll question relevant to what we have probably seen in the environment. This is one of the slides, few slides early that we have presented. What is the fastest recorded e-crime breakout time? It's a quiz, not a discovery question. We have already seen this 2 minutes ago. As per CrowdStrike's Global Threat Report 2024, what is the fastest recorded e-crime breakout time? One of the 4 options. I'll quickly have a look at Q&A and the chat box. Yeah, I see a question in the chat box. I would encourage to put the questions in the Q&A box. But just to quickly answer what I see, we do have SOAR capabilities bundled in the platform along with SIEM, and I'll address that both in slide as well as demo. Okay. I think that should be a good amount of time to answer the poll quiz. I see the poll quiz again, so I'll just close this. Happy to show the results if you want to. If you want to show the results now, you can do that. I was not able to see the results, so I'm assuming everybody was able to see the results. If not, we can move to the next slide. Just give me a minute here. All right. So coming back to the conversation of SIEM and Falcon Next-Gen SIEM. So we know that SIEM as a technology, as a solution, is really at the center of any SOC. So, and Falcon Next-Gen SIEM has become a critical way to centralize entire activity that's very important for an organization to stay ahead of adversaries. Now, so the main difference in CrowdStrike's approach is the fact that we have critical first-party data. By first-party data, I mean Falcon data, Falcon endpoint, Falcon cloud, Falcon identity, Falcon mobile, Falcon data protection. There are multiple existing modules that customer has access to. And all of these Falcon CrowdStrike data is fed into Next-Gen SIEM as critical first-party data. And plus, on top of that, our unified platform extends the prevention capabilities because we have Falcon EDR and sensors. Immediate action can be taken to contain an endpoint or to block a particular adversary at the endpoint level itself or identity level itself. If it's a cloud attack, at the cloud level itself. So whether it's endpoint, cloud, identity, or your mobile device, you no longer need to send all of your data to a traditional SIEM solution elsewhere. That data is already available within the platform. We have positioned Next-Gen SIEM so that SIEM can take advantage of this data and correlate data together. But we are not limited to just CrowdStrike or just first-party data. We have plethora of options, around more than 100 data connectors today, so that you can ingest third-party data sources as well. Data from your network devices, data from your firewalls, from cloud SaaS solutions, and more. There is a huge list. I'll share the link with you later. Huge list of data connectors which can help you get the data onboarded. What this means is the amount of time to detect a ransomware by running a correlation rule in the SIEM, we will block it directly at the track, which means that if there is a brute force attack, you don't need to depend upon a noisy correlation rule in your traditional SIEM. We will prevent it directly at source. Brute force attack directly at the identity. Ransomware attack directly blocked at the endpoint level. And it means that when you go to the investigation piece, when you're investigating a threat as a SOC team member, and if they have moved laterally across multiple domains, all of this data is already waiting in the Next-Gen SIEM environment for you to take action on, even without the need of you writing a custom correlation rule. What all of these feature does is it reduces the time to not only detect a problem, but for the SOC team also to respond to it. Now, how do we respond faster? And that's an answer to a question that I saw, is we have stitched Fusion SOAR. Fusion SOAR is CrowdStrike's own SOAR engine. That's native component to the entire platform. We have stitched Fusion SOAR together with SIEM so that majority of the expertly vetted workflows and playbooks, which has the ability to leverage your own playbooks as well and respond faster, both within the Falcon platform, endpoint identity cloud and beyond, as well as third-party sources that's available out of the box. Now, this becomes the source of truth in driving an investigation and responding to an investigation. And I'm sure most of you guys will have SOAR today as well. Feel free to comment on chat whether you're using it today as a separate tool or as something which is part of your SIEM solution. Not integrated together, but both SIEM and SOAR part of the same platform provided to you as an organization or as a SOC team. I'll have a quick look at chat or Q&A where I do have Amol responding to it, but just to quickly check, I'll answer those questions about network devices while we look at the demo, and we'll also answer about the AI modules. So when you talk about a SIEM module or a SIEM solution without talking about data, that's not really a great conversation to bring in. So what we have done is we have purpose-built threat detection and response. It has been positioned not as a separate solution, but along with Falcon Next-Gen SIEM. We also have key connectors and parsers, more than 200 parsers, so that you can bring your third-party data onboarded. This will effectively drive investigation and response. Now, the other thing we constantly hear from customers in talking to them about incident response or their incident response experience with any SIEM solution that they're using is describe a process which typically looks like what you see on the screen right now. And we'll go back to the curly spider example, right? The typical process looks something like this. SIEM receives an alert about an unusual remote monitoring in the curly spider example that we showed. They pivot to the IAM tool to look at the logins. Then they come back to the SIEM solution to see if they are related alerts. They go to their firewall logs to figure out next steps. They come back to SIEM again. They go over to Falcon EDR, our existing customers, to investigate all the command line activities which was prevented by Falcon. They go over to the source solution to configure the right reset or right playbook. Rinse and repeat of these activities, a lot of tab hopping, a lot of context switching to look at multiple evidence from multiple solutions in case they are not integrated or sent to the SIEM solution. Now, this activity of gathering evidence, of taking action, forensic information, they need a lot of juggle from the security team or the SOC team. Does this sound familiar to majority of you, the audience members? If you would like to comment that, yes, this is something which you are experiencing, not just the false positive rates, but the complexity in investigating, drop in yes in the chat box and I'll be happy to show you a demo of the CrowdStrike environment, which does things a bit differently. Now, before I show you that, how our approach is different and a snippet of what we will see in the demo is we natively capture endpoint, identity, and cloud-based attacks. We natively capture information. So you don't need to forward these logs to SIEM. No additional cost, no additional ingestion. All your endpoint data, identity data, and cloud data is automatically sent to SIEM. So there is no misconfiguration or missed alerts for your SOC team. This is the most critical telemetry which is already waiting for you in Next-Gen SIEM. What we also do, that's a small snippet on the slide, is we provide a collaborative workspace called as Incident Workbench. So if just like me, if there are multiple SOC analysts, all of us, like a virtual war room, can look at one particular incident, and we'll see this in the demo. This allows the SOC team to work on an incident together, comment on it, take action. It's almost like a virtual war room. This supercharges your investigation, it fastens the entire process to respond to it. And on top of this, since we have Position Fusion SOAR, your entire response, if you automate the entire workflow, detection, remediation, response, all of this is executed within the CrowdStrike platform itself. Finally, we are effective at stopping breaches and responding to adversaries because CrowdStrike understands threat actors and adversaries better than anyone else. So deeply knowing the adversary mindset, understanding the entire threat landscape is a huge part of the culture at CrowdStrike. So another key thing that really sets us apart. So processing trillions and trillions of events every day across endpoint, across cloud, identity, and customers' new, wider modern attack surface. That's what we do. We are tracking more than 250 different global adversaries and hundreds and thousands of IOCs every month. So we know what adversaries are currently doing, what are the list of IOCs that we need to verify against. And we are proud to have built a reputation as an authority on latest threat intel, latest adversary information. And we showcase this with our premier threat research and reports. There is also a CrowdStrike adversary universe where you can go online and check the coverage. You can check our annual threat reporting, threat hunting, threat reports available on site. And we do this together with our existing customers. We also have elite set of security experts. All of this to help stop more than 80,000 breaches in a year. Now, before I jump to the last slide and then the demo, just a quick check again, poll question for all of the participants here today. I would request the panelists to bring up the poll question. Meanwhile, I'll quickly check chat and Q&A if there are some questions from the team. All right, so out of the 250 plus 258 to be specific, and there can be more now, but out of 250 plus global adversary groups tracked by CrowdStrike, which adversary was used as an investigation example few slides ago in today's session? I've repeatedly taken the name of this particular adversary to show you what the investigation process looks like. Feel free to answer the question. And any questions, chat can be used for engagement, but any questions that you have specific to what you see, please use the Q&A box to answer. I'll answer your question live, Vinayji. How are we sending network data and IoT data? I'll answer this live while I show the demo environment. I think that's good amount of time for the poll question number 4. You can publish the results if you wish. I'm not able to see the results, but you can publish the results for everyone to see. All right, so a quick recap before the demo and a quick highlight of some main differences before we see the action in demo is our Next-Gen SIEM solution is an extension of the existing Falcon platform, which means deeply integrated with the prevention capabilities of endpoint, cloud, identity, and more. This gives us the speed and the scale. There was a problem mentioned about scalability and performance. So since we are cloud SaaS and part of the Falcon platform, we get the speed and the scale that security team and SOC team needs to keep pace with the modern attack surface. So we also supplement our detection engineering practice with critical detections that the customers are already trusting across most of the key data sources like endpoint, identity, cloud, and many other third-party data. Our collaborative incident workbench provides a single view, a single AI supercharged view, and I'll show the AI modules as requested in chat as well, which helps the SOC analyst to collaborate and respond faster to understand the incidents better. You as a SOC team and a security team will be able to leverage not just the entire Falcon platform and Next-Gen SIEM, but also the native Fusion SOAR response capabilities directly from the Workbench console, no separate context switching and tab switching. And perhaps the most exciting, that we actively infuse Charlotte AI. Charlotte AI is the name of the AI module that CrowdStrike has. Throughout the incident investigation, throughout this security analyst workflow, to help supercharge the response, to help supercharge and understand the incident better. Charlotte AI can be used as a chatbot. It can also be used as an investigator, and I'll demonstrate that during the demo. This makes it much better for the SOC team to get the reports out, to understand what the incident is, what the connections are, what the timeline looks like, and then decide what action needs to be taken. Now, I do acknowledge that CrowdStrike, if you look at the last 15, 20 years, comparatively, we are newer in this SIEM scene. But we already have more than 2,000 customers who trust the Falcon Next-Gen SIEM platform as the center of their SOC. And we have been able to deliver some pretty cool and exciting ROI compared to what they were getting previously with legacy SIEM solutions. And I feel confident in saying that we believe we are one of the most disruptive and one of the fastest growing organization platform module in this particular space right now. And this is a good time for us to now jump from slides to the demo part, but I'll have a quick check on my demo environment, which is up and running. Are you ready for a zero-day attack? Yes, we are. Even without Falcon Next-Gen SIEM, the CrowdStrike Falcon platform, because we track adversaries, majority of the adversaries, even with that EDR agent, even with endpoint identity and cloud combined together, we are ready for zero-day attacks because we can track the adversary's steps. If it is not a known adversary, even the kind of activity that they execute, we are able to track, detect that, and help you prevent it much better and faster than other traditional SIEM solutions. So what I'll do here is I'll keep that Q&A tab open. Whether both SIEM and SOAR capabilities are there, a question that I received. Yes, we have both SIEM and SOAR capabilities combined, and this might be a good time. Let me just stop sharing for a few seconds. Give me a minute. All right, okay. And I'll go ahead and share my entire desktop. Right, so from the slides to the console. Now, this is the console of CrowdStrike platform. I've intentionally opened one of the incident to show what an incident looks like. But just before that, the CrowdStrike Falcon platform, which looks like this, has multiple modules in it. We have endpoint, cloud, identity, exposure management, overwatch, data protection. Every single detection, every single information from all of these modules, they flow into Next-Gen SIEM. So all of the CrowdStrike data or Falcon data, also known as first-party data, automatically flows into Next-Gen SIEM, which gives you visibility from day 0, day 1. No need of additional ingestion and configuration from your end. The only ingestion that you do is you bring your third-party data sources, and we'll have a look at that in the next few minutes. But let me show you the last thing first, because what's interesting is after all the configuration, after getting the data onboarded and the rules being configured, a day in a life of your SOC analyst would look something like this. There would be a security incident that the security analyst would open. So this is an example of the collaborative incident workbench that I'm talking about. If I'm looking at one particular incident called breach and reach, this particular workbench, which can be accessed by multiple other SOC analysts. If you look at the top right corner, there are multiple users like Saurabh Mehra, who's currently offline, and Mark, who were looking at this particular incident with me. So what we're showing here, and some other SIEM solutions also do this, is every single event captured by different sources, endpoint, identity, third-party sources, every single activity captured by your endpoint, it can either be positioned as a timeline so that the SOC analyst can try to understand what activities have happened, or it can be presented to you in form of this nodal graph to understand what activities have been interacting with each other. There's a timeline tab at the bottom. I can check what activities occurred. So there was one particular user with PowerShell. These are the PowerShell commands, but this will still take around 10 to 15 minutes for an expert level 2, level 3 analyst to understand what's really happening, right? Of course, I can see majority of you can identify that there is an adversary called Odyssey Spider identified due to one of the domains here. And this particular domain has been known to be malicious, which has been interacted with endpoint. You can also see that there is a user here which has a process or a suspicious file written program attached to it. The reason we are able to identify this quickly is because of that red streak and because of the adversary outright. But one of the points which I mentioned in the slide is Charlotte AI. The AI module is working along with Next-Gen SIEM to make it better and faster. So while we have all the options here to look at different features, there is something known as Investigate with Charlotte AI, which I've already clicked. So it takes few minutes to generate information. I've already done this. All the information in the details tab for this particular incident, the entire events timeline, every single detection, the information inside the detection is being analyzed by Charlotte AI. And what Charlotte AI does, it gives you a summary of the entire incident in a matter of few minutes. So as a SOC analyst, and assume I'm a level 1 SOC analyst, by reading what has happened, X number of events at this date and time, there is a program, there is a process launched, which connects to a remote environment. There is a user which connects to vhf.sites.com. Just by reading through this and understanding every single scenario in a proper summary, 99.99% is the accuracy that has been announced in our sales kickoff last week. Charlotte AI has close to 99.98 or 99, I'll correct that, but 99% accuracy in showing you what the incident is all about. Not just that, it recommends more alerts or more detections, because incidents are nothing but multiple alerts and multiple detections combined together. So what Charlotte AI does is it suggests more alerts and more detections from your environment, which can be added back here. So if there are particular endpoints and there are particular detections from those endpoints, which can be linked to this environment, I can click on accept suggestion, and that particular IP or that particular endpoint will get added. So more information about an endpoint, more information about a detection will be added to the incident workbench. Now, this can be done by not just me, but anybody who is working on this incident actively. And every single comment, even if it is an incident investigation, can be added to this comment. So the idea of creating this incident workbench was to make it collaborative or as good as a virtual war room, right? How did we arrive here? Before showing that, if I figured out the problem is this domain and the connectivity to this domain is done by this particular endpoint, the moment I select the endpoint, which is an unmanaged host, or the moment I select the particular user, for every entity that you select, we automatically show you Fusion SOAR workflows on the right-hand side. Now, these workflows can be created during implementation. They are a combination of workflows available out of the box. It requires some integration for final action. But even if you don't have a working workflow or a playbook, since we have identity modules, since we have endpoint modules, since we have sensors deployed on these endpoints, some basic actions like contain that particular endpoint, like disable it from the network, or the user to suspend that particular user, or to execute actions which are like password reset. Any actions that can be executed from within the CrowdStrike environment can be executed directly from this incident workbench without the need of opening a SOAR, Fusion SOAR, which we have available as an option, but there is no need to open it and execute it. I can look at this particular user or endpoint. I can contain that particular user or contain that particular endpoint and add that to my comment that these actions have been taken and proceed with another incident. But since this is a quick demo and we'll be happy to do an in-depth demo with all of you, how did we arrive at this particular incident? How was this incident created for the SOC analyst? And this is something which will not be day in a life of a SOC analyst, but just to show you the platform, every single incident, I'll go back one step, is created in the environment. No filter right now, no high severity critical incident. Every single incident for multiple categories, not just endpoint, identity, or web, is created either using correlation rules, which are rules created in the environment, or a one-time search by a SOC analyst like me, or automatically by CrowdStrike. And by automatically by CrowdStrike, I'll answer that. But these correlation rules and this one-time activity done by the SOC analyst brings us back to detections. So once the data has been onboarded to CrowdStrike, and I'll show you the data onboarding page as well, there are multiple alerts and multiple detections which are created. These detections are a result of our rules, our detection rules. And we also have a concept of pass-through detection. By pass-through detection, I mean there is an inbuilt detection logic written for multiple third-party tools. If there is an alert at your firewall, which is not an event, but an alert, we automatically identify and show that as an incident. Along with this, multiple detections from existing CrowdStrike modules like endpoint, identity, and beyond. I have an example of multiple tools which are third party, like Mimecast, Palo Alto, Corelight, abnormal email security. And I also have examples of Falcon modules. Now, these are results of pass-through detection or inbuilt detection logic for the type of event that these sources generate, or they are result of rules that we provide out of the box. So even before investigating an incident, we do provide the capability of looking at an alert, of looking at an incident, looking at all the information that a particular event has captured. And even if you want to look at the entire detection, not just incidents, for threat hunters, for investigators, we do provide that capability in our console. But I talked about rules and I talked about detection coverage. So these detections or alerts are a result of rules being triggered. So what CrowdStrike has done is we have provided more than 1600 rules, and I'll go take you to the detection coverage for a minute. From day zero, day one of Next-Gen SIEM platform being enabled in your environment, there are close to 1662. The count goes up every day, every week. These are the count of rules that are enabled in your environment. So while I can show you the rules, what we have done is we have mapped these rules to a proper MITRE ATT&CK rules coverage. So we have all the tactics and the techniques of the MITRE ATT&CK framework. And for every single tactic and technique, we have X amount of rules. We are creating and adding for more techniques and tactics here, but coverage wise, for all the critical ones, there are multiple rules available for any tactic and technique that you want covered. You can look at these as use cases. You can look at these as security coverage or detection coverage. And all of these rules, whether they are deployed for CrowdStrike endpoint, CrowdStrike sensors, or whether they are available as rules for multiple third party, is available to you as out of the box content. There is a provision to create custom rules. So whether it is your team, whether it is your partner SOC team, or whether it is Falcon Complete, CrowdStrike's MDR team, managing your environment for your use cases, for your requirement, custom rules and custom correlation rules can also be created. But this comes under the monitor and investigation part. I'm taking you steps back to help you understand this better. We have a dedicated log management piece as well. This is where it all begins. You get your data onboarded. And when I say you get your data onboarded, this is only third-party data, not your Falcon CrowdStrike data. So we have a lot of connectors to get data onboarded, which can be cloud like GCP, Azure, Amazon. This can be cloud SaaS. But since we are cloud SaaS, since the CrowdStrike platform is cloud SaaS, there is no limitation on collecting data from an on-premise environment as well. We have something called as Falcon Log Scale Collector, FLC. That collector can be deployed in your organization on-premise, and data can be forwarded from Cisco Iron Port, Palo Alto, Fortinet, any on-premise tool by using our collector, maybe a central collector deployed on a Linux VM or a Windows VM. We can collect the data and forward it to this particular console where all these connectors are receiving data from cloud, from on-premise, and we show you that volume, that daily volume or average ingest volume only for third-party sources. So if you're sending us, or if Next-Gen SIEM solution is using 100 GB per day, out of which the CrowdStrike data, endpoint, identity, and cloud, let's say it's 60 GB, you only pay for 40 GB of third-party data because we don't charge you for CrowdStrike Falcon first-party data. And even the numbers that you see on the screen in the connectors page or the dashboard for what the ingestion looks like, this is all third-party data that you're onboarding and ingesting. So we have this option of allowing any data source to be integrated. And we have also created a separate log management section with the ability to search for anything. We have seen majority of level 2 and level 3 SOC analysts requesting for the ability to search faster, right? So we are now using an index-free architecture. So whether you want to search Falcon first-party data, forensic data, cloud data, or everything, if I do a simple search of, let's say, Cisco for the last 1 year in my demo environment, and if I run this search, in a matter of few seconds or maybe more, maybe 2 seconds and 384 milliseconds, there are the speed of 108 GB per second. We were able to search for the keyword Cisco. There is no need of even writing the proper CrowdStrike query language, but we were able to identify every single event from multiple sources where the keyword Cisco exists. Now, this is made easier because we are using an index-free architecture. Search for anything, create queries the way you want, and convert these queries to the desired result that you want. And if the results are up to what your threat hunters require, it can be converted into dashboards as well. So what we have done in this log management section, and probably the last piece before I jump back to the slide, is, and I'll take an example of maybe a Palo Alto firewall, is if we are collecting data from a particular third party and we have a log management section where you can search for anything, you can write CrowdStrike queries and we train you on that. These queries can be translated to visibility. So what I'm showing you right now on the screen is nothing but a set of queries at the backend, which are trying to fetch a firewall log, look for particular fields, and convert that result and value into a dashboard. This can be security dashboard, compliance dashboard, visibility dashboards. There are a lot of out of the dashboards that we provide for compliance and security, but this gives the ability to the log management team to not only search for data, but look at the live data coming in right now, if there is any live data coming in my demo environment, or look at a static dashboard in their SOC console. So best of all the worlds, getting data onboarded from multiple sources, presenting the dashboard to you because you can search and write a query for that, a dedicated monitoring and investigation piece where the incident workbench is available along with Fusion SOAR, even though it's available as a separate component, but Fusion SOAR is bundled along with the incident workbench for your SOC team to detect or to look at the incident which has been detected and respond to them faster. So we have, to answer many questions that I saw on chat, we have our own SOAR product called Fusion SOAR. And even though it's available for the entire platform, it's also stitched and bundled along with the SIEM solution. The accuracy of Charlotte AI is 99.98 or 99%, Rajat Singh ji, Vikram ji. So that's something which I've already addressed. I'm looking at the Q&A tab quickly. Licensing model, just a quick answer to that. I will be happy to take it offline, but the licensing model is just two-state. The amount of data that you're ingesting or sending to Next-Gen SIEM, third party only, not the first party. Third party data ingested and third party data retained for X amount of days, 90 days, 6 months, 1 year. These two elements are the only parameters for licensing, and we'll be happy to discuss this further with you. And Amol is answering that. Is there any plan to address a disaster like last time, as we are seeing with the CrowdStrike agent? There is, in fact, and if you mean by disaster the July 19th incident, we have achieved a lot more for that particular scenario, though it's not directly relevant to Next-Gen SIEM. But we have created dashboards and we have allowed every single customer to test the upgrade, test the deployment at their end first, even though we have a dedicated team doing that at our end. To give that control to the customer, you can now select when the update is deployed to which number of endpoints. You can create your own group, push the update there, and then roll it out across the organization. So testing at our hand has gotten better, and we have given the control of deployment or update to different set of endpoints to the customer as well. So that is how we have positioned response to control and ensure that the incident does not appear again. And we have seen a majority of the customers happy with this particular approach. Now I'll just have a quick look at chat. Okay, all right. I'll go back to the slides here. I'll go back to this particular screen. This is where I stopped. This is where we have jumped to the demo environment. I'll keep an eye on Q&A. It's the last 10 minutes. So to keep everybody engaged and bring them back, there's another poll question. In fact, two back to back. While I look at the Q&A and the chat, I request the panelists to bring up poll question number 5. This might be a combination of either discovery or a quiz. So this is a discovery question. How well does your current SIEM solution integrate with other security tools, like a kind of like a unified platform experience with your endpoint, with the threat intel, and multiple others? How well does your SIEM solution integrate with existing or other security tools? I'll have a quick look at chat and Q&A. How does CrowdStrike, I see a question here, how does CrowdStrike Falcon SIEM minimizes, while you answer that question, minimizes large data volume generated by EDR? I'll address that in a quick second. Maybe 5 more seconds for everybody to answer the poll quiz that you see on your screen. SOAR is a native offering. Yes, SOAR is a native offering. No additional licenses and module for that. It's part of not just Next-Gen SIEM, but for the entire platform as well. And if you can show the results and answers for everyone for question number 5. All right, great. Some integration, but with challenges. All right, majority of them, and seamless integration. Amazing. If your current SIEM solution is seamlessly integrating with existing solutions, which I can see 34% of you have answered that, that's amazing. For rest, who are some integration is available, but with challenges, we'll be happy to talk to you, because even in case of CrowdStrike, there is no integration at all to be done from your end. It's automatically out of the box, since all of these modules are part of the CrowdStrike Falcon. But before we go to question number 6, I need to answer one question that I saw on chat is, how does CrowdStrike Falcon SIEM minimizes the large data volume generated by EDR? Now, that's a very good question, because majority of the customers that we have spoken to, they don't send their data or EDR data, maybe just the metadata, they don't send it to their SIEM solution. Reason being the volume, and they don't want to pay that much amount of probably licensing. But this particular slide that you can see, endpoint data, cloud data, and identity data, for all of these data that CrowdStrike is sending to Next-Gen SIEM, you don't pay a penny, because this data is already available in CrowdStrike. So if you have 10,000 endpoints with EDR sensors and agents installed, and you want all of that EDR data, not just the metadata, but the entire telemetry to flow into Next-Gen SIEM, and if the size of that is 1 terabyte, you don't pay for that. In CrowdStrike Next-Gen SIEM, you don't pay for the EDR data coming in from CrowdStrike EDR. Yeah, in case of traditional SIEM, where you might be sending third-party EDR data, you might be paying huge amount. So that problem is easily solved by CrowdStrike, because you don't pay for any Falcon data, first-party data with Falcon Next-Gen SIEM. While I look at other questions, panelists, I would request you to bring up the last question, the last poll quiz. And I'm sure this is not a discovery question, but it's more of a quiz with the right answer. What is CrowdStrike's AI, which helps in incident investigation and more called? What is the name of CrowdStrike's AI, which helps us summarize the incident investigation and more? Because it's also available as a chatbot where you can ask any questions to Charlotte. There is a question, do you need to pay for retention of first-party data? Let me answer it in a broader way. You do need to pay for retention of third-party data as part of the SIEM license. But the first-party data, the retention of first-party data comes bundled with the EDR licenses. So when you purchase CrowdStrike EDR licenses, there is an option to get the retention of that EDR data or not. That's a separate module, separate licensing, which falls under EDR. When it comes to Next-Gen SIEM, the only licensing parameters are third-party data ingestion and third-party data retention. All right, okay. Question number 6, I think that was good amount of time for to answer question number 6. Let me quickly have a look at the Q&A. Yeah, the results show you the right answer. In my case, I'm not able to see the results, but the results pop up that is available will be showing you the right answers. Question from Vikramji, do you ingest all the logs from Falcon to SIEM? The plan is to do that. Right now, there are Falcon modules, Falcon Endpoint, Falcon Cloud, Falcon Identity, Falcon Data Protection, and Falcon Protection for Mobile. These 5, along with the threat intelligence that CrowdStrike has, these on high level, these 6 modules send their data, or internally we ingest data from these 6 modules into Next-Gen SIEM. The actual plan, since SIEM is a product which we are constantly developing more and more every month, is to get all of the Falcon data into SIEM where the customer does not pay for that first party or Falcon data ingestion. So the answer is yes, we ingest logs from Falcon. When you say all logs, all endpoint, all identity, all cloud, all data protection, Falcon for mobile, and the threat intelligence. I may have missed some questions, so I'll quickly check that. Does CrowdStrike Falcon SIEM allows customization in terms of API integrations for log shipping for outside analytics, customized UAM policy implementation? Yes, we do. So in terms of data onboarding, when you're talking about API integrations for log shipping, that's possible. In fact, all of our data connectors are nothing but API. Most of them work in a receive mode or a push and pull integration. Both are available. In terms of getting that data shipped outside your organization or on-premise, that's supported by the Next-Gen SIEM. Depends upon which vendor and what data type you're talking about. But for majority of the third party, that is supported out of the box. And I think if I scroll through chat for questions, I'm looking at
one more question. So it was, do we require any agents to collect the logs? So I've answered that question in the chat, but if you can just talk about it for a minute.
Right. So in case of, okay, we only need agents if we want to collect data from an on-premise environment. Since CrowdStrike Falcon platform and Next-Gen SIEM is cloud SaaS, getting data from any of your cloud SaaS source is direct. But if you want to send data from an on-premise firewall, or let's say a Cisco Iron Port on-premise, only for those scenarios, we need an agent, and we provide that agent, Falcon Log Collector, that can be deployed as a central log collector. Multiple on-premise sources can send data to the central Falcon Log Collector, and Falcon Log Collector will send the data to CrowdStrike console. So only for on-premise sources, because we don't want them directly exposed or directly sending data to crowdstrike.com. For those scenarios only, we have Falcon Log Collector agent to be deployed. Costing is only, again, costing the exact term. Amol and me and the team will be happy to take it offline. But costing, again, is only for the amount of data, third-party data that you're ingesting. And we take an average. We take a rolling average of 30 days. If for 30 days, if your rolling average is 20 GB per day or 50 GB per day for third party, that is used to size and cost for the licenses. All right, Q&A box is quite clear. The chat is quite clear. We're almost on time for any closing notes. Thank you very much. I see the huge amount of participation and audience. Thank you very much for all of your time in understanding what CrowdStrike Next-Gen SIEM can do for you. And we're happy to take your use cases and questions and scenarios that we see offline and discuss this further. With that, I would pass it over to the panelists, to the Express team. And thank you very much for attending this session.
Thank you, Lokesh, for that truly insightful and engaging presentation. And we have anyways addressed all the questions during our Q&A session. And in case we have any more, we'll be more than happy to take few more questions. So before we, take a look at the Q&A, so let's quickly take a look at the correct options of our poll quiz, which I think few people might have missed during the session. So the first one was, out of the 250 plus global adversary groups tracked by CrowdStrike, which adversary was used as an investigation example in today's session? So the correct answer is Curly Spider. The second one was, according to the CrowdStrike Global Threat Report 2024, what is the latest recorded e-crime breakout time? And the correct answer was 2 minutes, 7 seconds. And the last was, what is the CrowdStrike's AI that assists with incident investigation and more? And the correct answer was Charlotte AI. So I think if you got these right, you could be one of the lucky winners to receive an exciting goodie. And now, in case we have any more questions, Lokesh, we would be more than happy to take.
Answer that. Yeah, happy to answer that. You can put this on chat, and mainly Q&A is recommended. I've kept the Q&A tab in the chat tab open, so feel free to ask any questions. If you would like to connect offline, my team is here. Sumit, Rana, Amol, Ambedkar, and me, we're happy to take discussions offline. If you're interested in an extended demo for your organization or see how this works for you, we are happy to conduct sessions with you. Feel free to reach out to any of my team members, and we'll be happy to connect with you.
So I think more or less we have answered all the questions, and in case we get it, we can also take it offline, as you mentioned. Our team can contact them over the email, and you can take the responses separately. So thank you all for all those thoughtful questions and the active participation.
Yeah. So just
Lokesh.
quickly, because there are two questions that I saw.
Okay.
Yes, Next-Gen SIEM is offered as an MSSP. This is offered both by CrowdStrike's team. We have our own MDR or MSSP team called Falcon Complete, and we also have partners who are offering this as an MSSP. So that is available. Yogesh ji, your question about supporting compliance guidelines like RBI and Certain, not just RBI and Certain, SEBI, RBI and Certain, all of their guidelines and compliance allows data to be stored outside India. So we are compliant because there are certain amendments that they've added in the last 1 year. So we do have those supporting documentations. How are we storing it matters. How are we making it available to the customer on demand and on request matters. So we are compliant to certain RBI and SEBI. We're happy to show that details to you and work with you on that. And Saurabh can SOAR take action on other tools? They can, not just CrowdStrike. In fact, SOAR is not required for CrowdStrike actions, because CrowdStrike actions are built in. Just by clicking on actions and selecting the endpoint or identity or cloud actions, we can execute it directly. But Fusion SOAR has multiple actions, not just for CrowdStrike modules, but also for multiple third-party because we have integrations with firewalls, with cloud services. We are happy to share the list with you, but the answer is yes. SOAR can take action for third-party tools as well. Those are the three questions that I saw coming in, so I thought I'll answer it quickly here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lokesh. Thank you so much. And thank you for our wonderful audience for those all thoughtful questions and active participation. If you have any feedback, you can share all your feedbacks in the chat box, and our team and the team, the CrowdStrike team, will get in touch with you. They'll reach out to you via email with all the responses. So with that, we come to the close of today's webinar. I would like to extend a heartfelt thanks to Lokesh for sharing his valuable expertise on the subject leveraging Next-Gen SIEM for real-time threat detection and response. A heartfelt thank you also goes out to all of the active participation that we got from the wonderful audience. And we'll be reaching out to all our winners via email shortly. So do keep an watch on your inbox, and the questions that have been left unanswered during the live sessions will be addressed to you separately via email. We truly appreciate you taking out the wonderful time from your busy schedules and joining us today. And we also look forward to welcoming you back at our future webinars. With that, have a fantastic day, and as always, stay secure.